Conversations with Adams Oshiomhole.
Hello. There are about 6 states in Nigeria with off-cycle elections. They include Edo, Ekiti, Osun, Ondo, Imo, and Bayelsa. The off-cycle elections for Edo State, the governorship elections, are coming up on Saturday, the 21st of September 2024. And this forms the basis of our discussion on deepening the conversation, our interactive segment of Conversation with Asue, which is published on the back page of Leadership newspaper every Friday. With me in the studio is the author of the column Adams Oshiomhole. Our column is titled Edo Foods and the Famous Product Vendor. Welcome to Conversation, Asue.
Thanks for having me again, Peter. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. I'm talking about famous product vendor. You must be referring to the famous comrade Adams Oshiomhole.
That's correct. Senator Adams Oshiomhole. And by the way, it's not a name that I gave to him. He actually has. It's a name that he gave to himself. So I take no credit. I have no patent for that name. I take no credit for it.
All right. Mm-hmm. And I grant none. So, speaking about the Edo election, as it were, and referencing the model through which Oshiomhole became the famous product vendor. Lagos has been on an incremental development scale trajectory since 1999. Looking at Edo as it is and the product vendor, would you say he has justified the statement by one of his products that Edo not be Lagos?
That question, the question is a bit bad. First, let me maybe dial back a bit to the point you made about Lagos. Of course, the idea. I believe that was in 2016, after Oshiomhole was coming to the end of his 8 years. Was to replicate what happened in Lagos between Tinubu and Fashola, which, as you say correctly, that transition, which has been a major reference point around, and of course Tinubu being the politician and Fashola the technocrat, not the business owner, but the technocrat. So obviously, Comrade Oshiomhole wanted to see how he could replicate that. That was why his deputy governor was passed over, and then Mr. Godwin Obaseki, who was then the founder of Affirmation and chairman of the state's economic think tank, was then offered the ticket. But as to whether that has worked or not, I think the jury's out on that. A number of things in the last 8 years, I believe, under Oshiomhole, under Obaseki's watch, that the people of Edo, I'm sure, will remember him for kindly. Edo Best, its effort also to improve civil service. Edo Best, of course, has to do with an education program, which is supposed to enroll and help upskill more citizens or residents in the state, all of that. And a number of other things, attempts to also sort of turn around improve the quality of service of the public or civil service in the state. Infrastructure, especially in the urban. I haven't been there. I'm following reports, and we have people on the ground in some of the urban areas, especially, and all of that. So yes, so there are a number of things for which hopefully they can remember. There are quite a good many for which I'm sure that he also, not vividly remembered for, of course, the most prominent during how he fell out, not just with Oshiomhole, which had happened since 2020, which had become more manifest since 2020, not happened then. but also with his deputy governor, how he went with his deputy governor and all of that. And also it's turning out to be like the same thing he sort of tried to, what he sort of like accused Oshiomhole of. People are also now accusing him of that. He has also created his own class and clique of people who are close to him, who have all the access, while the rest of the people, especially those who helped him, who sheltered him in his days of vagrancy, shut out virtually everybody except people of his own clique. But I guess that is how politics is conducted. Hopefully in the next 24, 48 hours,
we'll see the outcome.
We'll see the outcome.
Yes, there are about 17 political parties involved in this election process, and yet we're just talking about 3. Why? Anyway, dynamically, because previously Edo was just more or less a 2-party state, but now we're just talking about 3. There is no hope for the other.
I wouldn't say never say never. I mean, until last year, for example, I'm sure that if anyone had said before the presidential election in February last year that Labour would make such a strong showing, seemed unlikely. But of course, we saw what happened. Labour got about 57% of the votes in the presidential election, and as we speak, Labour also has a senator and a member of the House of Reps, in the National Assembly. That was a major turning point, and I think that those who believe very strongly that if that could happen at that time, we should not rule out the other parties. I've also heard folks say that perhaps because of what might be a major contest in the vote bank of the state, the Edo South Senatorial District, that the chances of a rerun cannot be ruled out, and should that happen, for example, if the parties are not able to make the cut at the first ballot, then of course you would find that the smaller parties, which are not in reckoning, may be the beautiful brides. You never know.
Okay, and a follow-up to that. Until 1999, Edo has tended towards the left, and has been against the mainstream. Do you think this history might favor the Labour Party?
It's improbable. I did not say that it's impossible. I said it's improbable, and this is my reason for saying so. It does look like a very good moment for the Labour Party, and I have also followed very closely the campaign of the Labour Party's candidate, Mr. Olumide Akpata, former president of the NBA. But as to whether this is the Labour moment in terms of the governorship election, that's hard to say. And these are my reasons for saying that. One, Mr. Akpata is from Edo South. All right, Edo South is, of course, the vote bank, but that's where also Mr. Godwin Obaseki, the current governor, comes from. So there's really going to be a major fight there. So I see a situation where, whereas Oshiomhole's candidate is from the central, and the PDP candidate is also from the central, but Oshiomhole is from Edo North. It's actually the first governor of Edo from Edo North. I see a situation where, whereas his own, what you call his own home base is more or less situated, at least 3 local governments in that Edo North, he has very strong presence there.
And then the battle, the principle of rotation.
Exactly, and then the battleground really would then be in the south. All right, so it's like the APC candidate may feel a bit secure. So both the central, of course, both the central and the south is the battleground. But more fierce, I think, will be in the. So therefore, the chances of the Labour Party, getting it in such a contest, I think there might just be you just have the vote splintered. Remember that what happened in the presidential election didn't only happen in the south, but the south is more cosmopolitan, right? So in the south, you have people from different parts of the country who are present there, who may be more inclined But that is where there's going to be a fierce contest. So what ordinarily should have been the secure base of labor will be hotly contested by the other parties as well, potentially reducing the amount of vote that Labour may otherwise have been able to get from that senatorial district. That is my forecast.
Well, in 2007, former President Obaseki came up with this slogan that it was going to be, the contest was do
or die. That was in Ekiti.
Okay.
Yes.
And now we have hearing, we almost died from that contest. We're hearing do or die again in do. Are the polls likely to turn back?
Well, the suspicion or fear or concern that there might be violence in tomorrow's polls, we hope and pray not, is one foretold. But potentially, when you have such fears and concerns, and the parties actually making statements that tend to inflame passions more, and also inflame their voters, inflame their followers more, a number of things tend to happen when you have such scenarios. Okay, so one, potentially, the elite especially, who don't like to have their skin in the game when such contests are on, will pull back, and that could, in my view, potentially affect voter turnout. Because if there's such a serious threat of fear of violence, people don't want to go out to vote. So that which actually is a bad thing, because it doesn't then allow people to exercise their franchise. And so what has also happened, I think the level of deployment of security people actually sort of confirms the feeling that it's obviously going to be a war zone. So I think that the fear of the potential outbreak of a war may have been slightly exaggerated. I think so. At the end of the day, by the time you consider the deployment and all of those things, and especially in urban areas, I'm not so sure that there will be such significant incidents as to. But of course, it calls the integrity of the elections into the question, depending on the percentage voter turnout. You have it's very low voter turnout, then the credibility of the whole process, the sense, then there'll be a whole lot more to be said about the elections. But I think that the prospects of another do or die affair may have been slightly exaggerated.
In all of this, what is the role of Philip Shaibu?
Philip Shaibu is from Edo North.
Yes, the same as Adams
Oshiomhole. He was deputy governor for at least for the whole of their first term. And then yes, okay. But your question to me is what potential impact might he have? I am saying that, remember, also he was a member of the House of Representatives. Yes. He was a student union leader. Over the time, he's managed to mobilize his own followers, who for whatever it is worth, may also bring some numbers to the vote or to the table, and also help to further secure Edo North from the incursion of the other part, from potential incursion of the other parties. But beyond that, this election is actually both a direct contest between three leading candidates and a proxy war in many respects.
A proxy war, that is where I think I will ask the final question. These product vendors, is this about Edo State, or is it just the ego and tough wars?
It's everything, all right. It's about a tough war. It's about ego. It's about, hopefully, we believe it's also about the people. We can only hope that is the case. But injuries have been inflicted, on all sides. People feel injured. People feel this is a time for them to take their pound of flesh. But one can only hope and pray that that is done, that all of that contest is done within the ambit of the rule and of the law. But you know what politics is, especially the fact that this is Obaseki's final term. So if he prevails, it will then, of course, raise him up as the new
product vendor.
The new product vendor. He displaces the Oshiomhole as the product vendor. But Oshiomhole has his own title to also defend as one of the longest serving product vendors in the state. At least he's been at this for the last 8 years or so. And then, of course, the Edo Lagos sort of thing. The president has very strategically kept away from all. He was even not around when the APC candidate was formally presented. The vice president represented him. But in politics, old wounds die hard. We'll have to see what happens.
Okay, we'll wait to see what happens, and perhaps we'll bring you more details and more insights into what happens in our next discussion on this show. Probably, I'm not so sure that will be the case. So this is where we wind down the curtain on today's episode of Conversation with Asue. Please visit our online platforms, share and subscribe to our content, and don't forget to go to asue.media for the very, very productive book on writing for media and monetizing it. Also authored by
our workbook is on the way, by the way.
Our workbook is on the way to you as well.
The sequel.
Keep you posted on that. Thanks for coming on the show as well.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Bye for now.
Conversations with Asue Oshiomhole.